Relationship soap. Have friends in high places. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. My kids are snowboarders, so we have snowboarding cups that say "Get High" because there's all kinds of belief that snowboarders are pot smokers. Now, sometimes some are, some aren't, but it's I don't know. It's kind of like skateboarders. They think that any board sport must involve some kind of drug use. I don't know why people believe that, but it's entertaining. Frankly, I think if you're going fast on a board, on snow, or on the ground with just four little wheels, you probably don't want to be drinking or in any way have your performance impaired, because that's how you get really, really hurt. So, our idiom, our expression today for supersize your business. Sharon Horne-Ellstrom here. Welcome today, and I forgot to even say what day it is. I think it's 1598 of just documenting my journey my business journey mostly, as I transition from the brick and mortar corporate world of business to the online world of business. In 2017, following my divorce, I had an opportunity to do whatever I wanted, right? Which is really a cool place to have been. But I decided I'd always been curious about the internet, so I was going to hop online and figure out how this whole internet thing worked. And as I've run a lot of different businesses in the offline world, and the vast majority of them, we did not have an online presence, and we definitely didn't have a social media presence. We maybe had a really minimal website done the wrong way according to marketing and what works today. But the way as the internet was growing up, that's when I was growing up in business. When I was going to college, we had the gymnasium sized computer processing center. Nowadays, there's more power in our cell phones than in that big room of processors and servers and things. So it's interesting how much we have at our fingertips nowadays, how much we have available, and how much we don't appreciate it, right? We have to remember to take a step back sometimes and think, oh my God, if COVID-19 had happened, and if 2020 and 2021 had happened even 10 years ago, people would have been in a much worse situation than they were during the pandemic. At least we had, internet, streaming television at home, and the internet and Zoom calls and things that we could still function. Millions of people could still function in somewhat of a capacity or a different capacity than they had before. So sometimes we need to just step back, instead of complaining about everything that isn't the way we want it to be or isn't perfect right now. We have to take a deep breath and say, oh my gosh, maybe this isn't exactly how I want it, but look at all the things that are going terrifically and great in my life. So today, our idiom, our expression for supersize your business was to have friends in high places. And I like this idiom. I like this expression primarily because I don't consider myself as anyone that has any friends in high places. Have I met famous people? Do I know a lot of people? Do I have my Dream 100, and am I meeting them and interacting with them on social media? Absolutely. But am I their friend? Heck no. People we interact with on social media are acquaintances. They're not our friends. Based on my definition, we all get to define it differently. Maybe the only friends you have are on social media, so you consider them your close friends, not just acquaintances. But my sister had a comedy club in the 1980s in Dallas, Texas. So I met a lot of famous people and interacted with and had fun and partied with a lot of people that are now super duper famous. Some that aren't even with us anymore. They've passed away. But I would never consider them my friends. Yes, we had, those passing acquaintances in our lifetime where people come in and out of our lives for a small period of time, and they may have had a huge influence on me. I've had lots of people that have had they've been in my life for like a second, but they had a huge influence on my thinking, my beliefs, my ability to see what could be, what else is possible. So we talked about what does it mean, where does it come from, and how do we use it in our business and growing our business right now. And I guess my main point that I was trying to make, probably not particularly eloquently today, there's some days, that's the thing about doing videos every day. Some days, they just feel horrible and awkward. And other days they flow smoothly. And some you're just like I am anyway, even after 5,000 plus videos, still trip over my tongue, say the wrong thing, make mistakes. And at the end of almost every video, and I'm going to stop doing this. The reason I'm bringing this up is I'm going to stop doing this. almost at the end of every video, the immediate thought in my mind is, that was horrible, that was awful, that sucked. And that is just a prime example of negative self-talk that I need to just erase and get rid of, because there's good things in each video I do, and there's really bad things and stupid things or mistakes I make in each video, right? I recently discovered, actually yesterday, there was something in the back of my mind niggling me about this particular segment that I do. And I noticed that the ending number of this and the ending number that I track in my own documentation for these videos had the same ending number. And it felt wrong, because a few weeks ago, they didn't have, none of the 3 pieces of content that I do every day ended in the same digit. So I'm like, how could they all of a sudden end in the same digit? That doesn't make sense. So yesterday, it had bugged me for several days in a row. So I went back and I looked, and I discovered that day 1571 to 1576, I went from 70 to 77 because I thought that the 0 in my tracking notebook, this little baby right here, because I do keep track of it, I thought that it was a 6, so I went to 77 the next day instead of 71. And I didn't catch it. I didn't notice. I don't know how I didn't notice, but some mornings I'm more tired than others. And I just went to 77. And then today I'm on 1598, and I thought about fixing it. And I'm like, it's just my tracking system. I'm not going to go back and change it. So I've really only done 1,591 days in a row instead of 1,598. Not that it matters, because my daughter said it's ridiculous and nobody does any podcast for 1,500 days in a row, so that I should just do something different or change the name or do something different. So I'm open to ideas, suggestions, changing the name, different format, a format that be really helpful for you. I mean, for me, this is just a journal to keep track of what I'm doing, but I'd like to have it be something of value to you. What can I do? What can I share that would really add value to you? Versus just, what am I working on? What am I doing? Participated in a book launch yesterday, one of these collaborative efforts, and it got me thinking, in my gears spinning again, about I would love to do a collaborative book. I have written books on my own, but it would be fun to do a collaborative book. So I've got an idea, and I might put some feelers out to people that I consider in high places with respect to the topic, and see if they would like to contribute a story about their experience in this particular area, because I think that would be fun. Number 1, it would help me to learn to be a better storyteller. Number 2, it would be fun. Number 3, it would help a lot of people, because whenever we pick and do a concentrated effort on a topic that is of interest to a lot of people, and we get a lot of people's different perspective, instead of just reading my opinion about a topic and then having to go buy 20 other books or 5 other books or 2 other books to get different perspectives, in one book, we can get a bunch of different perspectives and a bunch of different people's experiences on the same topic. So I might this summer do a collaborative effort book. I'm really leaning toward it. It's kind of like summits, but I think a book is more permanent than just a summit. So we'll probably do a book and a summit, and to launch the book. But I think that would be fun. I've done a summit before. I've never done a collaborative book, so I think that would be a good, fun learning experience. And I think it could help a lot of people. So if you're interested in doing a collaborative book, it's probably going to be about challenges, right? Since I love challenges and challenges are my thing. And probably sharing stories with, maybe the greatest challenge that you face in your life, or the biggest business challenge, or the biggest, or the greatest, obstacle and hurdle and challenge that you've had in your life so far, and the story of that, right? And I could probably come up with 6 or 7 questions to frame so that all the stories follow the same format. Hero's journey, yes, it perfectly fits the hero's journey, if you know what that is. So we talked about having friends in high places, what that means. I personally think politicians and gangsters are perfect examples of utilizing relationships and friends in high places in ways that move them ahead really, really quickly. There's no doubt that having influential, powerful friends can help you grow and build and supersize your business faster. But it depends on, to me personally, is it ethical and moral and not done in a fraudulent or illegal or immoral manner? But that's just my requirement, right? A lot of people don't have a problem with being unethical, being immoral, doing things that are just to get themselves ahead. But that comes down to each one of us deciding what is that line in the sand for us. What will we do and won't we do in order to create what it is that we want in our life? All right. Our SOAP framework topic for today with respect to relationships was we are on the A. The A stands for action. But before we decide what we're going to do to take action, we have to analyze the alternatives or the options that we came up with yesterday. I guess we could have had SAP instead of SOAP, but I like SOAP better, especially during COVID pandemic. So we talked about the head, heart, intuition tool, which this was my old visual aid for that. And I created this new fancy backwards written visual aid for how to explain the head, heart, intuition tool, which is one of my favorite tools, depending on the challenge I'm facing or the decision I have to make and the options that I've brainstormed and come up with. When I want to compare things that are totally different, I have to have a tool or a framework to use to compare those alternatives. And the head, heart, intuition one is one of my favorite things because personally, I have learned that if I don't consider intellectually the thinking part, the reasons and the rational, subjective things or objective things, as well as how does my heart, how do I feel about it, as well as my gut, what is my instinct about this thing? If I don't consider all those things, I get into trouble and I make bad choices. We all make bad and good decisions, right? And I've made some bad ones, really, really bad. Maybe not bad to the rest of the world, but super bad for me. And that's how I define a good or a bad decision. Is it right for me? That's a good decision. Is it not right for me, but I do it anyway? That is a bad decision. So we talked about that today. Tomorrow we'll talk about progress. The relationship P is progress. How do we know if we're filling that gap? How do we know if we're moving from where we are to where we want to be? So any questions, hit me up today. I guess I'm kind of rambly. Have an awesome day. If I can help you, ask. Otherwise, I'll see you tomorrow.